Yeah, sugar is bad news, man.
Yeah.
Type 2 diabetes creates a whole bunch of other diseases and it makes a lot of money, tons of money. The medical monopoly salivates when someone comes in on the verge of type 2. They're like, oh, you're pre diabetic, buddy. We got because if someone gets type 2 diabetes, let's just say 40 years old, they're more than likely going to be on dialysis by the time they're 70.
Indeed.
They're going to have open heart surgery more than likely soon. They're going to have eye issues soon because sugar, when you can't process sugar, it messes up your circulation, your veins, your capillaries, your arteries. It's a wrap. And, you know, people want to blame cholesterol or fat, and it's not. It's sugar. It is sugar.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sound Bombing. I created this show for people who want to experience a radical, life-changing journey through the sounds of my diverse guests. I hope that each sound you hear on this show will strengthen your faith, encourage your dreams, and challenge you to awaken the greatness within you.
Drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the bomb. Drop the bomb. We come to drop the bomb. Drop the bomb.
This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show,
LaMarr Darnell Shields.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time of the day it is. Welcome to my show. I'm your host, Dr. LaMarr Darnell Shields, in the building. Yes, I'm in the building because it is freezing. I am the creator of Sound Bombing, and my goal with this show is to introduce you to the people with ideas that will help you unlock your full potential. Well, you've probably heard the terms health and wellness tossed around quite a bit, often interchangeably. Well, most people in our society use these words as though they mean the same thing, but there are actually some key differences between the two of them. Well, understanding the difference between health and wellness can help you get clarity. If you know me, that is my favorite word. I just taught that word to some third graders yesterday. And to get clarity on your goals, to create a plan that makes sense for you, not sense for somebody else, and to start to build a quality of life that is sustainable and that you can do for a lifetime. This is a lifestyle, people. So what is the difference between health and wellness? I'm going to share the answer. Well, actually, I'm not. I invited someone to help share the answer with me. For many years, through his books and programs, my next guest has been answering this question for a very long time. He's helped thousands of people reclaim their health and well-being through his revolutionary approach to applying mindfulness as a tool to heal the physical body. His new book, Peace Over Pain: How to Eliminate Chronic Pain and or Illness so you can break free from the medical monopoly. Who am I talking about? None other than Dr. Kevin Reese. Kevin, welcome to Sound Bombing. Let our listeners know how you're doing, and we got to just do a check-in. Let our listeners know where you are calling in from.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm here in Farmington, Connecticut. That's where my clinic is, and I'm very pleased to be with you here today.
Well, brother, I know we have been trying for a long time to set up this interview. I've gone through this book a million times. Well, not a million times, maybe 1,000 times. Well, maybe 5 times. You know, some people they get so extreme. I've done it. No, I have not done it a million times, but I've combed through this book, shared it with many people, loved the title, loved the concept of the book. But before we get into the book, man, how did you go from radio personality? All right. Because we got some things in common. Radio personality, from hanging with Snoop, D.O.G.G., 50 Cent, and so many others, to then say, hey, I need to wake up to live a holistic life. How did you go from that to this?
Yeah, I was basically a broadcasting prodigy. I got into it at 16 years old. By the time I was 21, I was on professional radio. And, you know, I had a 12-year professional career that many people would, you know, die for. They would, you know, they want to be in that spot, you know. But it is, it's like being a little mini rock star wannabe, you know, and you live a fast-paced life and a lot of, you know, not so good food, a lot of staying up late. And, you know, I was a smoker and, you know, a lot of things. And I ended up with some health issues. And like anyone else, I go to the medical, you go to the doctor. That's what you do. Hello, doc. I'm not feeling good. What do I do? And I got sucked down this dark hole that I call the medical monopoly or the carousel of frustration in the book. And man, I came out of that like, whoa, what just happened? Because nobody really thinks about doctors when they're 21, 22, but until you get forced into it. But at 28 years old, I was on heart monitors, like, whoa. And then they're doing all these tests and they didn't really have any answers. And it just inspired me to take control. And I said, well, if I'm putting this much effort into my broadcasting career, why can't I do it for my health? And so I just, you know, I went down the path and I healed myself up and did everything I needed to do. And I became passionate about it.
Well,
I
our
think,
paths are very
yeah.
similar, Kevin. You may not know this. I too started in broadcasting at the age of 15 years old under
Okay.
a great
Wow.
guy. I'm sure you heard of Tom Joyner, you know,
Yes.
very successful African-American broadcaster.
Morning
Met him
show.
through a program. Yeah, the morning show through a program called Junior Achievement. I saw him a couple of years ago, Kevin. He was with Arsenio Hall, and he was like, "You were a part of that program?" And I started naming all these different people, and he was like, "You really do know me. I'm originally from Chicago. He's from Chicago, you know, by way of Alabama." And so we just went down this rabbit hole, and then I reached out to a friend of mine who knows you, Lorna Little. She has used to have a show called Lorna's Corner, which was like B4B T106 in Park. She's actually featured in a new documentary about Bad Boy. She gets a nice piece in there. But, you know, she said she remembered you on the radio. She's actually in LA now running a huge nonprofit.
Wow.
And so we have not only broadcasting background, that connection, but also the health and wellness, man. I was a kid at a very young age who had all these headaches, all these illnesses, and you know, I decided to do something different along with my mom. She introduced me to holistic healing. I remember, you know, I was a kid who couldn't eat dairy, chocolate, all those things. And I remember being in school one day, Kevin, and one of my friends said to me, she's like, "LaMarr, do you have some type of disease or illness? Because you're always going home early." I would get these crazy headaches. And then when I went to college, Kevin, I met a teacher, my teacher, a brother named Tabidi, and his wife, Nia. And they seemed older, but they were a little older than me. But they see, you know, when you 3 and 4 years age difference, man, that's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
But they introduced me to a vegan diet. At the time, people wouldn't even call it vegan. And I walked into their house, Kevin, I saw all of these herbs and the food that they gave me. And then when I moved to Maryland, I met my great teacher, Dr. Ian Noel, who's a holistic teacher around health and wellness. And like you, man, my journey sort of shifted. And so for someone who, again, is this celebrity, and I did a lot of work in Connecticut. And so this guy who's hanging out with all these artists, and I saw some of your images, you're definitely like half the size of the person that you were hanging out with all these celebrities and not, you know, again, being in the studio and editing stuff and eating and drinking and all those things can take a toll on your body. But let's talk about that wake up. You know, what was your wake up moment? Because again, you are in this industry, this hip hop community, where now a lot of these artists, Kevin, are actually changing their diet. When you look at Wu-Tang Clan members, when you look at some of the other members who are changing their diet, what was your wake up call that says, "Hey, listen, I need to sort of shift some things in my life because if I want to be around here longer, then I need to do some things"?
I don't remember if there was one actual moment, but I do remember being on heart monitors and having to walk around with them And not only was I on the radio, but I was the director of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting here in Connecticut. And, it was a big job. I was a school administrator. And I had to walk around with monitors on me. It's like a big beeper,
Yeah.
and they come up and they got to shave my chest and they got to put it up, and I'm walking around for a full month. And I'm 28, 29. And I'm just like, this can't be happening, So, that was a big realization.
That was it. So in my introduction, Kevin, I talk about the difference between health and wellness. How would you describe those two different words? Would you say they're the same? Would you say there's a big difference? Your thoughts?
I never really broke them down. I suppose you could say wellness is like sort of your overall everything, including your attitude and things like this. But I just use the term holistic health, That, I think that kind of covers it. And then that's why, my title is holistic doctor. It's holistic, the whole thing. We don't just help clients with their, their liver or their weight. I mean, it's deep. It's figuring out, what happened with mom and dad. It's figuring out what happened to you, that incident when you were 12. There's a lot of crying, and then figuring out the musculoskeletal system. We do postural therapy. So, somebody came to us yesterday or earlier today with drop foot. There's something you don't hear every day. Drop foot.
Now, what is drop foot?
That's when the foot just you can't lift the foot. It's almost like you're carrying dead weight. And this woman has MS. So is it neurological? Or does she just have tight hip flexors? And so my discovery is that there is no one root cause. There's multiple root causes with every condition. And because we're truly holistic, we don't just say it. Some people just say it. They'll be like, yeah, I'm drinking this new drink. It's holistic. That doesn't make any sense. Holistic is the whole body. And by approaching it as the whole body, now we can find the root causes, plural. And we can correct it. We can reverse it because it's coming from multiple causes. And we got them covered by the holistic approach. And there's not many people doing that, if anyone.
Now, that's a different approach for a patient. I'm in that world, so I get it. I get when I go into my homeopathic doctor, and I also have a DO as well, but I get the whole holistic approach. However, there's some patients who, when you come in and they say, well, I want you to treat my kidney, or I want you to treat, I'm getting these headaches, or my leg is hurting. And when you say, we need to look at the entire approach, to someone who's used to this medical system where you're in and out 10 and 15 minutes, that could be somewhat alarming to them when you say, hey, I've gone to Dr. Jones my entire life. Yeah. And now Dr. Reese is going to say to me, it's something different. Yeah. How do you approach that in a way that it may not feel heavy to a person who's used to a certain system of medicine? Oh,
I'm all about heavy. I don't care.
See, that's that shock jock reality. That's dropping that music back in the day. Man.
I don't have any kid gloves. I have health coaches on my team, and they're a little more nurturing and kid glovey than I am. And that's why they're on the front lines.
So you're not answering the phones. I always talk about, you want to check who's answering the phone first before you actually get there.
I am the guy that structured it, that organized it, that created it, and then other people execute it. Because I'm telling you, like, we had a client just the other day, Lucy, shout out to Lucy, tremendous transformation. Okay. She came to us with vertigo, headaches, severe anxiety, a sway back posture, messed up digestion. And she's not even done with the program, and she's pretty much 100% recovered. And I messaged her and said, all right, let's hop on a Zoom. Let's go over your stuff. She goes, I don't want to hop on with you. So what do you mean you don't want to hop on with me? She goes, I want to talk to Amber. I want to talk to Coach Amber. It's like a kid saying, I don't want daddy. I want mommy. I want mommy. And it was just hysterical to me. And I'm like, that's cool with me. She goes, no, because I'll lose sleep if I talk to you. So I think the moral of the story is I don't pull back any punches. I'm,
Mm-hmm.
Once you
and some people need that. I mean, some people need, it's the whole conversation calling in sort of versus calling out. It's this whole conversation of, not shaming people, but really say that our health and wellness is important. People always say health is wealth. And then the people that typically say that, Kevin, are some of the most unhealthy people. What I've discovered, some of the most unhealthy people are always trying to give you some healthy advice, especially around the winter months. Oh, you should drink more of this and you should drink more of that. You should do more of this. And you look at them, this is 365 days of health and wellness, not when COVID pops up or not when some mysterious other disease pop up. Before we get into your approach, because I want to talk about your approach, because I think your approach can be somewhat different or unique from other people. What are some of your major concerns currently as it relates to people's health and wellness or lack of holistic health?
The concerns are that everyone thinks that they need a treatment. I just did a live stream the other night on my Instagram and Facebook, and you should have seen the comments. I have this condition. How do I treat it? I have this. How do I treat it? I have this. How do I treat it? The word treatment came up like 100 times. We don't treat. The medical monopoly owns that. We don't treat symptoms. We actually reverse the causes. And that's what we have to switch. We have to switch the mindset of people. It's a very big undertaking because the medical monopoly has everyone programmed. So I guess that's the concern. And going back to what I was saying about how I have coaches executing with the clients, my job is to break limited beliefs. That's my job. I'm the one that hops on the Instagram. I'm the one that gets interviewed on news shows and podcasts like this. I'm the one that's out there putting my butt on the line. And my job is to break limited beliefs, and that hurts people's feelings.
So what are some of the pitfalls you find that limits people to moving forward? Since you're talking about limiting beliefs, what are some of the beliefs that people are sharing with you about the health field, maybe not the health profession, but health and wellness in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one is that they can't fix what they have. That's the biggest one. And I can confidently say that there's not one chronic condition that can't be reversed. Not one. Now, if you have a birth defect, it's different. Right? You can't reverse Down syndrome. You can't reverse spina bifida. You can't reverse type 1 diabetes. You can reverse type 2 diabetes very easily. And so people don't understand that. And so when someone like me comes out on the front lines and says, you can reverse this, you can reverse that. I just did a video that went viral on dementia. There's 4 dementias. And I'm saying, they can all be reversed, including Alzheimer's. People went nuts. So you got 50% of people saying, what's the protocol? What's the protocol? What's the protocol? And then the other 50% saying, you're a quack, you're a charlatan, you're an idiot. And so I have to take that fire. So I put it all on the line here,
Yeah, well, I definitely think I agree 100% about this concept of limiting beliefs, this concept of if we can first change our mindset. Joe Dispenza in his great work talks about if the body, if the mind can make you sick, then the mind, you can heal yourself with your thinking. But if your beliefs are so limited, if you come from a world where you feel everyone is out to get you, or if you come from a world where you can't have certain things, if you come from a world where you need someone to keep telling you that you need to take a pill for this and then to take a pill for that, you need to do those things instead of looking at a holistic view. So for those that are out there listening, we have to shift our mind. We have to shift the way that we see things. And one, is we have to take sort of control over our bodies. Let's talk about your process. Let's talk about how you have created this clinic, this Peace Over Pain clinic. What's so unique and what's so special about the Dr. Reese piece? And then I also want to talk about the pour for, what that actually means.
Yeah. So the unique approach to what we nickname the Reese reversal system is putting the 3 macro methods together, which are postural therapy, clinical nutrition, and mindfulness training. When you take the 3 and you do them at the same time, not separately, at the same time, the body heals exponentially fast. So we're talking speed, big time speed. Like the woman I just mentioned to you, Lucy, her vertigo was gone inside of 2 weeks. Like that's speed, you know. Someone could suffer from vertigo for 10 years, you know. So that's what makes us completely different. You can find specialists that are in those categories. You mentioned Joe Dispenza. His would be the mindfulness training. You know, he may call it something different, but it's the same. That's his field. And so we're putting all 3 together, and that's what makes it completely different. And it's not in the book. In the book, I call it the 3 macro methods. After the book was published and all that, we realized, we need more of a clever name because this is something special. People are healing fast. And so we're like, all right, well, Reese reversal, it's an R. So we got the Reese reversal system. So maybe people will remember the Reese reversal system 100 years from now. They won't remember me, but they might remember that. You know, it's like you call a toilet a crapper, right? Thomas Crapper invented that, but you don't know nothing about Thomas Crapper. You know? But if we can get people healed up and they can break that limited belief and drop it, that, hey, this medical system is very flawed. Okay, it's great for emergencies. It's great for infections, but it's not going to do anything for your psoriasis. It's not going to do anything for your migraines. It's not going to do anything for your digestive issues, nothing for your back pain, nothing for your knees. All they're going to do is put metal in there. Your cartilage decay, nothing. They got nothing. And going back to what you said earlier, people don't want to hear that, man. That's hard to chew for a lot of people.
I know it is. It's hard for people to chew because they have been sold, as they say, a bill of goods. You know, someone has told them over and over again that you can take a pill for this, that you can do this, but no one has really told them how to take control of their own body. When I'm thinking about, since you talked about mindset, one of the 3 things, there's a Stanford professor, an athlete and a psychologist named Leah Crum. She investigates how our mindset can affect health behaviors and outcomes. So if that's true, and I'm sure we both agree with that, then what does one need for a healthy mindset? Because you have to have a healthy mindset to come to you to say, I want to do something different. Everything, and people kill me when they say they've tried everything. That always blows me away. You've tried some things, but not everything. So what is it then? What does one need for a healthy mindset?
Awareness.
So awareness that there is an issue, that there is something
not just that, but awareness of the thoughts, awareness of the emotions, awareness of the body, awareness of the story. Every night before I go to bed, I look in the mirror and I remind myself, you are not your story. I am not Kevin Reese's story. I am something different. And I just pretend to be Kevin Reese's story. So, you know, we got to detach a little bit. And when we do, life isn't as serious. And when you take life not so serious, you relax. And the tension goes, you know? And, you know, the more training you do, the more you're ready to die. And you see, this is why I can't take clients, because I start talking about, you got to be ready to die. And they're like, what are you talking about? I can't deal with this, right? And so I'm like, let's go, let's die, let's do it. Like, And they're like, you're the guy that's supposed to help me get better. You can't be talking about. It's like, so that's what makes, I'm contrarian in that way. I'm saying that if you drop your fear of death and you drop your attachments to all this stuff, including your story, then you can relax and your body will heal up. And we need the other stuff too. We need the nutrition and the postural therapy and all that too. I think that's where someone like Joe Dispenza doesn't come all the way. He's 1/3, in my opinion. He's 1/3. He's not the whole thing. You can find some great nutritionists. I'll say the same thing. They're 1/3. They're not the whole thing. So, and the osteopath, same thing. And so, when we put these three things together, that's when the magic happens,
Well, I'm loving the magic, man. Now I want to talk about the poor four. What are they and how do they affect our body?
Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. It's funny because I talk, my speaking style is soft and calm, right? But anytime I say the poor four on social media, I speed it up on purpose.
And why is that?
I don't know, just to confuse people. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. And they all go, "What do you say? What do you say? Say it again. Say it again. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake. Gluten, oil, fried, and fake." So gluten is a sticky glue protein that takes up in your villi, in your small intestine. And this is wheat, barley, rye, and you can consider oats too. And once the villi get caked up, you can't absorb nutrients anymore. And so you have a lot of people that could be on the best supplements in the world, but they're not absorbing it. They could have the best diet in the world, but they're not absorbing it, That's gluten. That's a big one. Getting off of gluten alone could absolutely change your life. Oils is the one that everyone raves over. If I ever need some extra views on my Instagram, I just do something on oil.
And then people are going to start following you.
It's just oil. People go nuts over it.
Mm-hmm.
They go nuts because they can't comprehend that all oils are bad. Mm. And they can't comprehend that it has nothing to do with the actual oil. It has nothing to do if it's coconut or olive. It has to do with it's being exposed to the air. It's not a whole food. So if you open up an apple and keep it on the counter for an hour, it's going to turn brown.
Indeed.
And so oil is the same thing. It's the same thing. It's not a whole food. You're taking the fatty juice out of the whole food. And it's being exposed to the air and it's oxidizing. And so this messes people up, man. Especially the vegan community. They're like, what do you mean? What do I cook with? I'm like, close your ears, butter. Or don't cook at all. You can boil food. You can steam food. You can pressure cook food. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. You don't need that. When you're flipping on the top of the race, you hear the sizzling.
So there's no frying in the Reese household, brother.
No. And then that's
so your response is you said using butter instead of oil. That's your response.
Yeah.
All right. And what are the other two?
Fried and fake. So fried is obvious, like fried food. A handful of French fries is like 2 packs of cigarettes.
See, and my assistant, who's over 60 years old, who has everything, it's so funny. Her whole theory is this, Kevin. I don't know if you're ready for this. Anything tastes great fried, which is probably true, right? Which is probably true. She didn't say anything is good for you. That's like our running joke, because when her and I are on the road together, and I'm the one who has this lifestyle and she just eats whatever. And she tells people about how I got her to try certain things. And her whole theory is anything fried is good. We just talked about it recently at an event.
Yeah. And I try to do my best to educate, especially the African-American community. Anytime I've been booked at, Baptist church. I know all about the black church.
Oh man, they running you, and you got Connecticut. You got the black and brown. So you got the African American, Latino community, my communities, and you're talking about no fried anything, boy.
And we have a lot of West Indians here.
Yes, indeed, and everything is fried. And when you look at that, when you look at the high blood pressure, when you look at the heart issues, when you look at everything that you think about that we should not be doing, is so connected to fried food. Many of those things. And when you talked about dying, man, I said, when I look at somebody's plate, I'm like, you're killing yourself right now.
Yeah.
Let alone driving a car. Go ahead.
I call it a slow suicide.
Yes.
And that hits people.
So I just lost about 20 million viewers right now because my brother Kevin just said, stay away from it. He hadn't even gotten to the fake just yet. Nah. But he said fry. And I love that you said, I do work in the African-American community and the Latino community and West Indian community, because our folks need to hear that. Wherever you go, when I'm traveling, either through the Caribbean or through Africa or South America, and you see the food on the side of the highway, everything is fried. Those veins are getting tighter and tighter and tighter.
That's it. It's oxidation, just like the oils, but to the 10th power, and it's creating carcinogens. And it's the same thing as cigarettes.
Yeah, there are many places that I go into right now that are quote unquote healthy. I tell people the health food store is not the healthiest place on the planet. I understand, just even though that's the name of it. But there are many restaurants that I go into.
They're in business too.
Well, indeed, a huge business. That I go into, and I'm saying, you're frying. Why are you spending so much time frying certain things? And you're supposed to be a health and wellness store. So we got the gluten, we got the oil. We go into the fake piece. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's just, that's your candy and your cakes and your cookies and the things that there's just tons of ingredients in it. You look at the box and it's like a paragraph. I think soda is the biggest one. People get addicted to soda very quickly.
And I can speak from my kids grew up not eating meat, eating a whole food diet. And I remember I went to a cookout, and man, my son got a hold of, I don't know what the soda was, but trying to pull that out of his hand and get him to break away from it. But it goes back to when we had our first child, and we started giving her solid food. All the kids were nursed at home and birthed at home. And I remember my homeopathic doctor, he said, so what are you giving your daughter? And mom said, we're giving her, it might have been, let's just say oatmeal. Okay. And he said, well, what did you put in it? And she says, sugar. And I would never forget, he said, did she ask for that? And I said, if she did, then we would be a millionaire. And so ever since he said that, it reminded me of, why are you giving this child something that he or she has not asked for? And you were already giving her something else. But it reminded me of that when she's all of 21 years old. And then you go down the slippery slope of now. My other teacher said it's easier to get my clients off of cocaine than it is to get them off sugar. And of course, at 18, it made no sense. But when I had my own children and they got that palate of that salt palate and that sweet palate, to get them away from that has been very, very challenging.
Yeah, sugar is bad news, man. Yeah. Type 2 diabetes creates a whole bunch of other diseases, and it makes a lot of money, tons of money. The medical monopoly salivates when someone comes in on the verge of type 2. They're like, oh, you're pre-diabetic, buddy. We got you. Because if someone gets type 2 diabetes, let's just say 40 years old, they're more than likely going to be on dialysis by the time they're 70. Indeed. They're going to have open heart surgery more than likely soon. They're going to have eye issues soon, because sugar, when you can't process sugar, it messes up your circulation, your veins, your capillaries, your arteries. It's a wrap. And, people want to blame cholesterol or fat, and it's not. It's sugar. It is sugar.
So are you one of those health practitioners, doctors who won't work with clients who refuse to change their diets? Is there some way that
Oh
you sort
yeah.
of circumvent and go around that? Or you like, this is the diet that you need to be on, or I
Yeah.
won't work with you?
You can't even walk in.
So it's funny you say you can't walk in. I think of everybody has a Prince story, man. Questlove, you know who Questlove is. Questlove tells this story where he goes to Prince's house. I'm talking real Prince. I'm not talking about these folks that's in England. I'm talking about the real Prince, the purple guy.
The
And he
purple
says he
guy.
goes in, he brings his food. You know, Questlove is all of what, 6'4", probably like 320 pounds.
Yeah.
Prince is all of like 4, whatever. And he comes through the door, Kevin, and Prince, he says, hey, meeting, greeting. And he stops him at the door. He's like, where are you going? He said, well, I'm coming in. He says, what do you have in that bag? He was like, I'm some chicken. He was like, no, you can't come in here. And he says he remembers having to sit in his car because Prince would not allow him to bring this dead animal into his home. And so you are one of those practitioners who said, if you can't follow this protocol, then I can't treat you. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So basically what we do is we have a program, and you need to be accepted. So we enroll like a college. I don't sit down with people and, charge a certain fee for an hour. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. We're a factory. We bring people in the darkest hour, and we bring them to the light, and we collect that testimonial, and we throw it on social media, and it keeps going round and round and round. As a factory. It's a healing factory. So if somebody wants a nature path or an osteopath where they go to the office and they sit down, that's not what we do.
So your approach is very unique and very different. Walk us through let's walk me through. I'm a new client coming into your space. Walk me through that intake process. Is it something I need to do online?
Yeah.
Do I need to meet? Because I saw some of your amazing coaches that are there. Walk me through that process.
Yeah. So you would schedule a discovery consultation. You would hop on the phone or Zoom with one of the coaches, Coach Amber, Coach Tamara, and they run you through testing. We have a questionnaire that is based in the science of symptomology. So we're saving the person tons of money because they don't got to get blood, urine, stool, or hair labs. We actually have a high guess of what's going on with the body through the testing, through the questionnaire. Then we run them through a postural part of it. And then we do their P-rays, which is where we evaluate the whole body. So you got to get a little skimpy. You got to get in some short shorts. And if you're a woman, a tank top. If you're a man, take the shirt off. And we have to evaluate the body to see what's going on with the musculoskeletal system. After we do this, we know what's wrong with people. I'm smiling because it's like, I can't believe I made this discovery so many months, so long ago. It just still makes me smile because it's different. So once you know what's wrong, then you can come up with the game plan, right? Then you can figure out what to do. And so we give that to people free. I want to give as much value as I can at the front door. So we do that for free, man.
And is this all virtual, Kevin? Does someone need to come into the space?
It's all virtual. It's all virtual. Even at the clinic, which is in Farmington, Connecticut, I would still send you to them over the phone. So the clinic itself is more of a place where I'll just teach classes or just, have a place to meet people to, politic or whatever, bring in a mayor or something, all that type of stuff. But working with clients across the world, that's all Zoom or phone calls or text. Some people don't even want to talk. They just text. So, like the girl Lucy that I mentioned to you earlier, she's from Australia. So that just shows you the impact that we can have with this. And After we do the testing, which we call the discovery consultation, then we talk about if they're a candidate to enroll into our program, which is 120 days.
So it's a 120-day commitment for them.
Mm-hmm.
What would cause someone not to be enrolled? And then what is that process? If I don't get accepted on the first go round, do I get a chance to come back a second and third?
Yeah. If they don't want to get off the poor four foods, we got to leave them alone. If they're on statin drugs or proton pump inhibitors, for the stomach, or something like Tums or Alka-Seltzer, and they don't want to get off that stuff, then we can't help them.
So if you were an MD in this space, you would be broke. You would be poor. You would be living on the street. You could not pay your student loans, that insurance.
That's right.
And what it says is that if you really want to if you really want to do what you're saying out of your mouth, then these are some things that need to be eliminated. Because I think about my trainer. And every year when it's time to sort of weigh in, I talk about, like, I use women as an example because it's always cool. Like, they'll put one foot on the scale. They won't put their whole foot on the scale, or they'll hold their stomach in. And he'll say, you got to let the stomach out. You got to put your feet on the, because he's trying to get them to weigh in. So if you really want to do this work, just be as transparent as possible, because that's the way that you're going to see some results. And so quite often people come to these spaces. When I take people to, and my mom has been doing this for years, when I take people to my homeopathic doctor, and it's interesting, his process is a little different from yours. He has a tool that he uses that can trace certain things in your body. And he comes from a more Eastern stand. And he grew up in the Caribbean. So he grew up in Trinidad. So his grandmother taught him some stuff, the herb doctor, his grandmother, but then also he uses some Eastern medicine. And it's interesting when I take people in and he tells them all the stuff without everything that you just said, without peeing in the cup, without giving any blood work, without taking a hair sample. So to those people, it's like, if you're not open, then it's scary. You're like, how did you know that? It's like someone who has a gift of sort of reading your mind or your aura. It's like, if you put in the time. And so I'm loving that the fact that you said, if you can't follow this program, if you are unwilling to eliminate certain things, because again, your brand of who you are and what you do weighs heavily on that. Because again, if you're treating someone, they say, well, it didn't work for me. Well, what have you been eating? Well, did you eliminate those certain things? What type of pushback have you gotten? Because I love to hear, since you're the one that's on them, what type of pushback have you got from individuals who would think, Kevin, you're just too hard. Come on, Kevin, I can't do certain things.
Those are the people that just walk away, or the coach tells them in the discovery consultation that we don't think this program's right for you. That's it. It's just, it's like dating, it's like, we did 2 dates. I'm not really feeling it. It's just, it is what it is. But going back to what you said the key word, Dr. Shields, you said results. I'm in the results business. This is a business. Make no mistake about it. We're all in business. No money, no survival, period.
Indeed.
So in order for me to have a big booming business, I need testimonials. So they have to follow my way, because it's what I know will get that result. And that result then becomes a testimonial. And then that goes back out over social media and it circulates. And it's not something that you see very often. You see it in the fitness industry. You see the before and afters, the chubby person, and then they got abs, right? This happened in, 6 months, but you don't see it in healing. And so I'm taking that approach. I want testimonials.
Yeah, and I see the value of testimonials. I keep going back to my doctor. I remember when I first started seeing him, it was young people. I was in my 30s and then 40s. But then all of a sudden, Kevin, I started to see your grandmother, my grandmother, Big Mama, Abuelita, Medea, Nana. I started seeing these elders come to him. It's like going to the gym. I always tell the 80-year-old, 90-year-old, 70, that's my inspiration. There's a guy today. Hey, little fella, young fella, you're looking good today. That's my inspiration because they're here for a different reason. And so talk to me the type of client that comes to you, a typical client that comes to you, talk about their background, where they're coming from, maybe talk about some of the challenges, if there's sort of like a prototype. And I'm sure you have a variety of different people, but I want my listeners to know the type of people that actually come to you.
Man, there is no prototype. It's everyone. Right now, we're getting a big influx of dementia people, but it's not the person, it's the caretaker. And so that's challenging because the caretaker has to do the work and has to convince the person with the dementia to do the program. It's there's a dynamic to it. The basic person that we get is usually someone that's desperate. They're sick of the medical monopoly. They've been on that carousel of frustration, man. They see the darkness. They went to this doctor, that chiropractor, this osteopath, and they're around and around and around. And, again, some people with the limited beliefs, they're not going to listen to me. I'm a charlatan to them. But there's that little percentage that's like, I'm going to give this a try. And they're the ones that end up on my social media. Like, oh, I used to have fibromyalgia and I don't anymore. It's like, so.
Well, I love the excitement in your voice. I love the excitement in your face. The book is amazing. Before we get out of here, Dr. Reese, let my listeners know how they can get a copy of the book, how they can get in contact with you. And if they want to be a client of yours, a patient, how can they do that?
Well, the book is $20 on Amazon, or you can have it for free, the ebook version in my Facebook group, which is peaceoverpain.com/join the group. Or you can find me on the gram, which is where everything seems to be happening right now. We just caught this wave 2 weeks ago, and it's just crazy. We're at 2,000 to 4,000 followers a day. It's just crazy growth. Divine timing, man. It's very, very funky.
Do it for the gram. Keep going.
Yeah. So the gram is at dr.reese, REESE, like the peanut butter cup. And yeah, check us out before you hop on a discovery consultation with a coach. Check us out. We'll get warmed up. Watch some videos. There's a rabbit hole. There's so much content. You could binge. Put your Netflix away. Binge on this Dr. Reese charlatan guy, okay? Binge. Because there's no way you're going to know the real deal unless you binge a little bit. There's so much content.
Well, that's what I had to do, man. Because I know there were some challenges for us getting together, and timing is always great. I binged on a lot of the things that you had. I mean, I could talk to you forever because, again, this is my wheelhouse. I mean, my approach may be somewhat a little different from yours. Mine has been working for me since I moved to Maryland, years ago. Love who I'm working with, but I'm not closed out to talking and listening to other people's approaches to this work because it's about healing. It's about extending our life, but it's also about, living a life full and whole and putting in not only just whole foods in your body, but the things that we also listen to. And speaking of listening, you cannot leave right now. The second part of the show is called the Super Bomb Questions, Dr. Reese. And the different from the first part is that when I ask you a question, I need you to respond as quickly as possible. You ready, brother?
I'm ready. Go.
All right, let's go. Dr. Reese, what's your favorite word?
Skedaddle.
What's your favorite quote? Maybe a scripture or a verse or a lyric to a song.
Prepare for the worst, but expect the best.
What's your superpower?
My organization.
What's your spirit animal?
A wolf.
What moves you to tears of joy?
Seeing people with results.
What moves you to tears of sorrow?
I don't have any.
What do you wish you had more time to do?
Date.
What is the book or books you've given most as a gift and why?
Ooh, I've given a lot of my own lately because it's so
What,
small and compact.
what's your morning routine?
Oh, I wake up around 5 a.m. I get out of bed. I do push-ups. I do some quick stretches. I make my bed. I down some water, and I'm in the office in my underwear, which is right next door, and I'm working right away.
What advice are you glad that you ignored?
Oh, um, that, if you keep going where you're going, you're going to get in trouble, with the medical system.
What advice would you give to your younger self, the young Kevin?
I would have taught myself how to be a man,
Dr.
like
Kevin
a
Reese,
capable man.
a capable man. I like that. If you were in the Mr. America talent competition, Dr. Kevin Reese, what would your talent be?
I would run people through a guided meditation.
Final question, Dr. Reese, what's your favorite sound?
I like wind chimes.
Well, listen, I told you, listeners, that Kevin was going to drop some jewels. He said, go binge, watch his stuff. From someone who's done it, you are going to learn a lot. It's going to push you. It's going to pull you. It's going to make you think like, is this dude okay? Does he really know what he's talking about? And then when you see those results from his clients, you're going to be like, yeah, it's time for me to move on and get my health together. Don't wait for 2023. Start today. We can say one day or we can say today. Dr. Reese, thanks for hanging out with me today, man.
Thank you very much, Dr.
And I got to thank my beat maker, my man Supremacy, for our theme music. But we cannot do this without you. So thank you. Stop being stingy with all your friends because you share us, share me. If you like what you heard from Dr. Reese, press subscribe, share us with everybody. If you want to know more about me, because you want to know something about me, go to DrLDS.com. If you like this episode, again, subscribe to it. And as always, believe that something wonderful is about to happen. But some people miss the message because they're too busy looking for the mess. But not you. You've been listening to Sound Bombing. Take care and peace. And go take care of yourself today.